is responsible for promoting the development of local content capacity and related projects in Nigeria's oil and gas industry. By converting gas flares to value, the Nedogas modular fractionation plant in Ebendo Delta State has demonstrated vision, tenacity, and resilience, creating a positive impact on the environment and Nigeria's economic development.
Okay. Once again, a very, very good afternoon, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Please, I kindly appeal that you call your colleagues who are outside, that they kindly join us. We are about to have the concluding part of the Agis Summit. Please, also appeal that if you are at the extreme end of the hall, you kindly come forward and feel the seat in front of you so you can have very good photo optics. Thank you, thank you. It's always a pleasure when my mentor entrusts me with the responsibility of completing an event he started. My name is Ofofonono Akpan, and my pleasure it is to stand in for Richmond Osuji, who has been doing an amazing job. Please, can we give Richmond a round of applause, please? Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so my job description is very, very simple. I'll handle the three parts of this event, which is the technical presentations part 2, the policy forum part 2, and then we have the closing pleasantries. I'm going to handle these three parts of the event. I promise you it's going to be very short, exciting, and engaging. I actually appeal that you give me all of the attention for the next few hours where we would wrap up the event. Would you give me your attention? Would you give me attention? So if you give me attention, please can you give yourself a round of applause, please? Thank you, thank you. The first part of this concluding part is the technical presentation. Of course, the technical presentation will speak on LNG and its uses, and of course, how to make it more accessible in Africa. Of course, this is going to start with an opening remark. The speaker is not in the hall. I think he's going to join us shortly. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, of course, the speaker for the very first part of the technical presentation, he's doing an opening remark. Of course, the opening remark is to welcome us and make us get ready for this technical presentation. I've not seen him in the hall. I believe he's going to come in. But before he steps in, I'll just come to the audience and ask two people a few questions. What have you gained so far in the past 2 days, yesterday and today? If you're going back home and you meet your 3-year-old child, what would you tell your 3-year-old son or daughter that you went out for the past 2 days? I just need two people, a male and a female, to give me their perspectives on what they would tell a 3-year-old kid. So I'm coming to you, ma'am, in front of me, and then on this row, I'm going to come to you, sir, you. If you go back home and a 3-year-old, please give him the mic, ask you, mommy, what did you do for the past, or auntie, big auntie, what did you do for the past 2 days? What would you tell a 3-year-old? Sir, let's hear you, and then you go to her. Your name first, your organization.
Thank you for no. Well, I think I'm Engineer Christian Ayafo, and I'm actually into the gas sector. I really feel that this initiative is really a welcome development, because when you look at the aspect of sustainability when gas is concerned, you realize that the key factor is collaboration. And the beauty of it is the fact that we have gone past the aspect of the triple helix and we are now at the penta. So when you look at the roles that the communities are playing, and you look at the roles that the stakeholders are playing, like I was looking at the video with DCMC sponsoring a company with $1 billion just for them to go into gas gathering, you realize that we are already solving our gas domestic problems. So whether you like it or not, I think we have come to realize it's actually in reality that there is already the process ongoing. And with some of the key presentations that has been made, I have an MSc in gas, PhD in view. I think that was
Chikezewosu.
Yeah.
But the question I asked is a 3-year-old. Will the 3-year-old understand his jargons?
Now I'm coming to
Okay.
you. So
okay.
During his presentation, there were some key things that he actually made which were amazing, that everyone can come out to contribute something. So it's key that even from the initial stage, every child, whosoever, at whatever level, they need to be inculcated, brought up with the idea and the notion that everyone needs to contribute to the gas sustainability chain, the gas monetization, every aspect that has to do with it, because whether you like it or not, for a 3-year-old, your milk will come from this investment.
Amazing.
What you eat will come from here. So it's important.
Amazing. Can I give a round of applause, please? Okay, let's hear you. Just give her the microphone. Thank you. The last person to speak. Okay. So what would you tell an underage?
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Sonny Delight. I'm an NYC intern at NUPRC. So what I'll tell a 3-year-old, to keep it simple, since it's just lying deep under the ground, and then we have a lot of parts to play for it to actually, for us to make use of it so that it can benefit everyone in the country. One of the things I also learned is that even though we have been blessed, we are energy poor. I think that thing really stuck to me, like really we are energy poor, and a key takeaway is that we need to collaborate, like different parts, different people, organizations, operators need to come together, put their heads together and see how we can solve the problem. We know the problem. I think we actually know the problem right now, but we need to provide solution. And one of the ways to provide solution is that we come together, put our heads together, because we are also blessed intellectually to see how we can bring up solutions and actually act on it, not just talk about it, but really act to see how we can improve Nigeria and Africa at large. Thank you.
Amazing. Please can we give a round of applause? Phenomenal, phenomenal. I'm excited to see the number of young professionals we have in this event, and of course, it's really, really exciting to see that the young people are doing so much to make the energy sector thrive. Your Excellencies, very distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to switch gears immediately to the opening and welcome address. Of course, this address will be taken by a distinguished figure known for his outstanding contributions to the academia, the research, and the energy industry. His accolades and achievements are numerous and varied, marked by unwavering commitment to excellence. Please help me welcome for his remark the President, Association of Local Distributors of Gas, and of course the Chairman of Falcon Cooperation Limited. For his remarks, please give them in those hands for Professor Joseph Ezebo as he comes forward for his remark. Oh. Okay. I'm made to understand that he is coming in. I saw him in the hall some minutes ago, and of course he would be back for his remark. Okay. So like I said earlier on, I'm handling a few parts of this event. We have technical presentations, about 2 of them. After the opening remark by Prof, we'll have a presentation on making LNG a more attractive and cost-effective option, the improvements in the processes of FLNG development. To take this, I just want to find out that he's in the hall, and I'd like to appeal, sir, we will not want you to leave. To take this presentation, it will be the GMD and CEO of UTM Offshore Limited, Mr. Julius D. Roney, represented by the Project Technical Team Lead of UTM FLNG, Engineer George Amara. Let's celebrate him. He's going to talk. Okay, he's in the hall. Thank you so much, sir. another speaker that would give us another technical presentation on innovative solutions for gas flare reduction and gas utilization. Of course, he is from the NUPRC. Please help me celebrate Mr. Wale Ogoshola, who was also in the building. Please, wherever you are, let me see, wave your hands. Amazing, amazing. I like how you're dressing the African way, sir, for the African event. Please celebrate him, please. Celebrate him. Awesome, awesome. Of course, I spoke of earlier on who would do the opening remark. I said earlier on that he's a distinguished figure known for his outstanding contributions to the academia, to the research and the energy industry. His accolades and achievements are numerous and of course varied, marked with commitment to excellence. Your Excellencies, very distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the President, Association of Local Distributors of Gas, and of course the Chairman of Falcon Corporation Limited, Professor Joseph Zibu, as he comes forward for the opening remark. Please, if your hands are not busy, keep celebrating this epitome of excellence, a distinguished gentleman, a man who breeds class. Thank you so much, sir, and welcome.
I thank you, particularly the organizers, for inviting me to this conference. Initially, I said to myself, and I finished, it's as if we clap and sweep the entire thing under the carpet, and it ends there until the next year. We will come back again to repeat the same things. But today, I actually came because I saw today as a springboard, as you carry us away from where we are, or where we've been, where we are, and show us where we are going, and maybe begin to create that critical mass that will overcome, like I say, because I started as a zoologist. I'm a medical parasitologist by training before I went into engineering. It's the human nature, the human form. Because when God created man, he put in everything. There was nothing left. So for you to understand anything mechanical, look at the human body and study the human body, and you will understand the mechanisms of anything and everything you want to look at. I'll give you one single example. You know, if you cross your knee, the Madame there have is human actions. So I'm hoping that today, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for bringing me to once again say something. We are here, we've talked about a lot of things to find ways and means, the easier Nigerian way of doing things. No, that's not our problem. In Nigeria today, that nobody can buy it because it's so expensive. Because when you buy the aggregates of things from overseas and come in and assemble them, the price is so higher than it was assembled overseas. Gas production. Why is our gas and oil production so high that we are not competitive? Why is it that we are producing at such a high rate that when you now want to bring the stuff back into Nigeria, what is the solution? We actually need to innovate. Central bank. So you can change the structure so that money means something. Because then, one pound was 90 pence. $1 was 40 pence. Just yesterday, 80s. Today, it is 1,500, 2,000 plus to the pound and to the dollar. How can anybody produce anything at that rate and be able to sell in Nigeria? The textile industries are crying. Why are they crying? They import all their equipment, everything. The Chinese, with their number, with their ingenuity, are producing things at a cheaper rate and then flooding Nigeria. So we are abandoning our Nigerian textiles and buying overseas. And they are complaining. You now want to bring down the cost of gas to a level so that they can become productive. If you do that, the man who is producing your gas at such a high cost cannot function. So which one comes first? Chicken or the egg? Our cascading into obscurity, into nothingness, started when we missed Ajokuta. We lost it. we must sit down here and talk and think. The Naira exchange rate doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. But of course, it does matter. When we lost our ability, because the forces against us are so much, but we do not want to understand those forces because we are afraid of our pockets. We cannot do anything. We are shackled. We need men, young men, who will say to themselves and say to this country, no, we cannot take it anymore. Come out of this arrangement. It must end. That's why when Labour was striking for money, you're asking for initially 490-something thousand. Who will give it to you? Where would they find it? If they make you president, you cannot pay it. Nobody can. If you shift the salary the way it is to pay what is agreed to pay, no state can manage it, no state can pay it. Except, of course, you ensure that those states put all their money to the people instead of putting their money in their pockets. Well, you can get them to use their money for what it is meant to be used and put it where it's supposed to be put. Then we can begin to see civil service that will function if they will agree to become civil service. Like of old, and go to look for sources of livelihood because they have a child, a son, crying out in the house. How can you look your son in the face and they say, Daddy, give me bread, and you say, there's no bread? He won't. That's what we need to start with. And we need to look at our foreign exchange and say, okay, how do we tweak it? How do we change things? But I thought at the base of our minds, when we're looking at things, for us to understand the enormity of what is facing us as Nigerians. And then what you young men, because I feel sorry for myself, and some of you have learned also to be selfish and say, how is it? It go better. How can it be better? Because you are thinking of what you can do that is non-ethical to make it better. But like I said, enough of that. Oh God. African Gas Innovation Summit. Please forgive me. I get carried away at times at things like this, and I become too emotional because I'm a Nigerian who's also in a hurry to let people understand what I'll be able to do something with it slowly. Where tribe and tongue and religion may differ, where we'll come together as one nation and do things for our country. Let us become Nigerians. That's what I'm preaching today. Thank you so much about that one. To the African Gas Innovation Summit. Today we gather under the theme, Igniting the Future, Driving Sustainability in Africa's Energy Landscape, on a dynamic growth trajectory and reliable, sustainable energy is the very foundation upon which we can build our today, our tomorrow, and eventually our future, deep into the future. This summit is not just about harnessing the power of gas. It is about igniting a revolution. That's why I'm here, really. For us collectively, the speakers here, to ignite a revolution. Not for us to go and carry arms, no. But for us to understand there's work to be done. And the young ones with the young brains like you need to come together and actually think, how can you move this things forward? How can you say no to us of the past and say yes to you of the present? So we want to accumulate wealth so that our children will not see any suffering. That's a mistake. Because the moment you go, your children will fight. They're in court. I know families. The fathers have about 20 plots everywhere. Today, they are all in court. Those buildings are all closed up. Only rats and lizards live in them. Don't let that be you. You young ones growing up. Think of yourself alone. God gave us ourselves. He created us to be creative, to learn our purpose. Let us find our purpose, because you came naked, we'll go naked whether you like it or not. no matter what you acquire. That's what it is. So let us inculcate that into ourselves and please be able to do that. It is a revolution driven by innovation. We are here to explore cutting-edge technologies that will unlock the full potential of gas while minimizing environmental impact, from carbon capture and utilization to advancements in gas processing and infrastructure. This summit, and that is why I agreed to come. That's why I've been here since yesterday. And once I finish, tomorrow morning, I'll head back to Lagos, and I'll go back there again. And I hope that the message has been passed. Additionally, a common challenge in meeting domestic demand is the commercialization of gas reserves. Some countries or producers are experiencing challenges in balancing gas production output and growing domestic demands. With the contribution of export revenues to their economies, also determining the correct level of subsidization to stimulate and maintain domestic demands and create long-term absorption capacity. This has been a challenge. If we look, for instance, in 2016, there was a proposal to develop domestic fertilizer plant using local LNG as feedstock in Tanzania. It was stalled because of disagreements around preferential pricing, with off-takers looking for discounted gas prices to make fertilizer production profitable. It's a question of robbing Peter to pay Paul. As they will say, I'm an organization, give me 10 naira, in 2 days I'll give you 15 naira. Give me 20, I'll give you 30. What they're doing is robbing Peter to pay Paul. At the end of the day, it will catch up with them. The others will come, but then they've made their own little profit and they zap. But we are in the system. We allow it to happen. And we see it happening because at conferences such as Nigeria and Mozambique, like I said yesterday, I was in Mozambique a couple of weeks back, where they invited me to come and see how I can replicate what is happening in the corridor and what is happening in Lagos Free Zone in Mozambique. I'm so happy today Mozambique developed its LNG faster than about a quarter of the time we spent in Nigeria. They learned their lessons and made sure they didn't fall into the same traps. So this is the issue. This is what happened to Tanzania. But we're already imposing domestic supply obligations, DSO, to our producers to help support domestic utilization. However, these DSOs are often not met due to lack of effective enforcement mechanisms. How can you enforce it? You give a man half a bread and you want him to go and climb a mountain. Of course he cannot climb it. He will tell you, Oga, I can't. Even if you shoot him, he cannot do it. You tell a man who is exporting gas, who produce at such an exorbitant cost, and then he's exporting it to try and cover costs, and he's paying you part of it. And all of a sudden you are telling him, no, bring that gas, sell it internally at what price? That's why some of our industries at the moment cannot produce anymore, because the price is increasing every day. I pipe gas. Every day, every month, the dollar changes, my cost changes because it's based on dollar. But even though they pay me in naira. Some people are shouting, don't put it in naira, domesticate it. If you put it in naira, would that guy be able to buy pipes tomorrow? If he does that, of course he can't. So if his pipes are leaking, that's the end of it, because he can't afford to buy the pipes, because he doesn't have any money. So which comes first? How can you save us? The chicken or the egg? That's what we're against still. Because DSOs are placed on exporting assets, they end up eroding the viability of gas developments and increasing the transition risk of these assets. This begs the question, can local gas resources realistically be used to support domestic energy needs if the economics favor export? And if so, how do countries with limited financial resources and low level of capacity incentives, international oil companies, IOCs, to support domestication with exports when exports is ultimately where their interests lie? Apart from creating local absorption capacities and achieving the correct balance between domestic utilization and exports, countries pursuing gas domestication will need to think carefully about how to mitigate the long-term transition risks of domestic gas dependency. Punitive tariffs on carbon-intensive products will become increasingly reality as developed countries start implementing their own transition plans. Several times I've been called to London to sit down with the energy people and talk about gas and renewables. And I said to them, to me, don't dare speak about renewables. They are there, of course. They are there. They'll be there in 1 million years. Our gas will soon be finished in 50, 100 years. So why do you want to think about what is there for 1 million years as against what is here for 100 years that will benefit you right now? You want to go for renewables and make my gas redundant so that you're also impoverishing Nigeria. And you want Nigeria to compete with you and come and buy your renewables. When his gas, you're telling him, don't use it. I was to partner with a British company where the government of Britain has interests. The moment we were on the verge of signing an agreement for them to invest in Falcon, a letter came from the government to cancel all investments in gas, all fossil, no matter what it is, be it oil, be it gas. They pulled out. They went back to using coal. Germany went back to using coal. Did the world stop them? The answer is no. Why didn't they? Because they had a muscle. Mandated that international companies operating in the gas sector must invest in local training and development. Partnership with local universities and technical institutes have been established to train Mozambican engineers, technicians, and other professionals. This approach does not only create jobs, but also ensures that the country retains a significant portion of the economic benefits of its natural resources, proven to be a game changer. These smaller, more flexible plants are deployed quickly and efficiently, providing remote communities with access to clean energy without need for extensive networks. It's unfortunate I'm talking about these countries. Well, you see, we need to compare apple to apple before they can come in. But it's an idea of what they are doing there that we can also learn from and see how can we re-strategize to put ourselves in a position where we can actually begin to borrow a leaf from them. Unless we re-strategize, we cannot borrow a leaf from them. It just simply be examples for you to listen. But you can listen to these examples, ask you questions. Under what economic conditions are they operating? They enable you now start thinking, how can we really do it? Egypt has aggressively promoted the use of CNG as a cleaner alternative to gasoline and diesel for vehicles. The government has supported the development of CNG refueling infrastructure across the country, and local companies have played mission, but also lowered transportation costs for consumers. We wonder every day, why isn't our government interested in this? And we rain abuses, insults on them for not being able to do what other countries are doing. They can't. They don't have the wherewithal. They don't have the finances. It is not there. And we blame them. What are the sources draining our money? That's what we should go to first of all. And more money will simply complicate the situation and make it more each day more impossible for you to operate and do anything. That's where we're going. Furthermore, here in my little kingdom, I call it the Association for Local Distribution of Gas, where I sit in as the president of the local distributors, bridge the gas infrastructures in Nigeria. The association was born out of the need to have a distinct platform to cater specifically to issues affecting the players in the downstream natural gas distribution space. Over the past 20 years, there has been an increase in the expansion of the distribution pipelines network by local distribution companies. Most of its members have built and are still building, and we keep on building gas infrastructure networks to further deepen domestic gas utilization in the country. Members have increasingly invested in gas infrastructure, such as small-scale LNG facilities, autogas, and for instance, say in Falcon, we are developing today a 15,000 metric ton tank farm to distribute natural gas to the eastern zone of the country, because ordinarily gas is produced, gas are carried through our beautiful roads back to Port Harcourt to go and sell. By the time you add all the associated costs, the cost of delivering LPG in Port Harcourt is about almost 1.5 times twice what is sold in Lagos, but the gas is served in Port Harcourt. So we need to increase the capacity. And that's what motivated us into going there. We also have a dedicated jetty to be able to achieve this, as well as developing gas infrastructure in Lagos, free trade zone, through our subsidiary, Optimera. So today we are constructing a pipeline to take gas to the Lagos free zone. Hopefully, because it's a free zone, they're getting everything from overseas, and then we'll bring in cheaper gas again from Nigeria. They'll be able to manufacture and then export overseas in the interest of Nigeria, or be able to bring it in at maybe subsidized cost for the Nigerian people to be able to buy. Greenville, on the other hand, has done marvelously well. They spent about $450 million to build a mini LNG, total LNG production capacity of 250 metric tons per day. Axela, who already runs several gas distribution networks in the country, is also constructing a mini LNG plant with an initial capacity of 20 million square feet per day in Ajokuta in collaboration with NGML. Green First Limited has CNG compressions and distribution facilities at Ota and Abeokuta in Ogun State with a capacity of 17.5 million square feet per day. LDG, as we call ourselves, has consistently been a leader in policy advocacy. Members are also actively involved in the review of policy and regulatory frameworks to ensure fair representation for market players while fostering collaboration amongst members to promote the growth of gas projects. On the regulatory frontier, Nigeria has started implementing the PIA, which encapsulates the numerous reforms to improve efficiency and attract investment in the long run. It is a paper worth emulating, but it is not the end of it. It's a paper that should guide us while we also look at it, function with it, and see how we can utilize it. And I know that my time is almost gone. Let me end by saying I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our sponsors, partners, and organizers whose tireless effort have made this event possible. Your commitment to this cause is truly commendable and exemplifies the spirit of collaboration that is essential for our success. As we embark on this long journey together, let us be guided by the spirit of cooperation, creativity, and determination. Let us remember that the true measure of our success will be in the tangible improvements and a government, because they're a listening government, so we're able to interact with them, let them understand where we are and where we're going, and also help them to help us. Because if they're going in one direction and there are things they need to do, we tell them. If we listen, we can begin to adjust and add and subtract to allow us to get to the final destination. In closing, I urge each and every one of us to actively participate, share your ideas, and build lasting connections. Together we can turn challenges into opportunities and drive Africa's gas development and utilization forward through the power of domestication of innovation. But let me say thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for putting up with me, for listening to me, for listening. Like I said initially, I'm driven by emotions because it's deep-seated, because it's been cooking all over the years right inside of me. So I beg you to forgive me if for any reason I've said something that maybe would have aggravated any of you. But I say it from the heart, and I will defend it with my blood. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you want to give your hands for excellence, please celebrate him. Celebrate excellence. Phenomenal. That was quite heartfelt and emotional opening remark. Thank you, Professor, the Chief Servant of Falcon Corporations, for your tireless efforts and everything you do for the energy industry. Please keep celebrating him till he takes his seat. A man who dares to dream where others feared. Thank you. Switching gears immediately, I'd like to kindly appeal to the very next set of speakers for the technical presentation that please, 15 minutes is allotted to you to speak. So we kindly appeal that you kindly work with 15 minutes. Our very first technical presentation will focus on making LNG a more attractive and cost-effective energy option. Of course, by leveraging advanced technologies, optimizing supply chains, and fostering innovations, we can enhance NLG's competitive edge, ensuring it remains a key player in the Africa energy sector. Of course, to share knowledge on the theme, we have a distinguished figure who serves as the project technical team leader at UTM FLNG. Of course, his exceptional expertise, dedication, and leadership has been pivotal to UTM's success. Please help me welcome the GMD and CEO of UTM Offshore Limited, Mr. Julius Rone, aptly represented by the project technical team leader of UTM, Engineer George Amara. For the next 15 minutes, take your notes. Of course, he will be sharing knowledge. Keep celebrating him till he comes on stage.
Thank you. If it's in the church, I will say, let's say the closing prayer, because Professor has said almost everything. But we still need to talk about the gas space. We still need to talk about what can we do. We still need to talk about what are we doing and how well are we of your delivery. You can have the volume of gas, you have it at your facility. How well did you do the efficiency to give you your yield? We're going to talk a little bit about the UTM story. It is the pioneer projects with the NMPCL, Delta State Government, and a few other stakeholders working with us. Before we go into the project proper, we'll just talk a little about the story behind this. We all know this. These are information in the public domain, where you have over 7.3 trillion cubic feet of gas worldwide. So everybody is struggling to develop theirs. Prof mentioned that you have something that will deplete in the next 100 years. So the earlier you take your own, the better. If you don't take your own now, maybe another country will take theirs. There's a large reserve. It's a potential source for cleaner burning energy known as liquefied natural gas, which has major advantages over fossil fuel, such as coal and oil. We've been using oil a lot in Nigeria. We use less of gas. It's time to switch to the alternative, which is gas. It will not become a technical section. I understand there are lawyers, financial people, so we just try to keep it basic. So we have reduced what are the impacts. When I was talking at the panel station this morning, I talked about the issue of the emissions around Port Harcourt and the environs. So with a lot of LNGs, people will be discouraged to go more into diesel, and the issue of even the people doing the other way of refining may stop. It might not go out completely, but it will reduce. Then you improve air quality. Sometimes when I'm watching TV, especially in CNN and all, and you see air quality report, we in Nigeria and Africa, we are always on the red. That means we are taking a lot of things we shouldn't be taking as human beings. So we need to make our environment more cleaner, the air we breathe cleaner, and support for sustainable development. We talk about that a lot. The MDG's goal is for us to have something that will keep human beings alive as much as possible. Then we have the versatility of its application. It can be used across sectors: power generation, heating, ventilation, transportation, other petrochemical processes. Then we talked about also, we have to, if we set a target as human beings, as government, we have to work around it, and that is where the alignment comes in. We talked about challenges a lot, so I'm trying to see what we can gain from switching to LNG or any of the related gas processing systems. It gives us a lot of energy security, which has to do with diversification of energy sources. We know a lot, especially in Nigeria, every January you have fuel scarcity. Every December you wake up and everything change, the price of goods in the market change overnight. So if we have opportunities of LNG and we are using it domestically, we'll be able to have that competitiveness so that we can switch sources when necessary. That's the same thing as reduction in reliance on single suppliers in transportation routes. It's not something that's always on pipe. It's something that's being transported virtually through vessels across the seas all over the world. And it has a lot of things to counter the effect of disruptions, as I mentioned earlier. There's still the flexibility, the ease of transportation. LNG can be transported and easily stored and regasified. So if we produce it in offshore, which is the objective of, and the other associated product also that we are producing, there's LPG, there's condensate, and there are a lot of things you can do with this other product. Then you have access to global market and remote locations. It's something that you can move around. It's easily taken around using the carriers. Then we talk about the cost effectiveness, which is one of our topics today. They are competitively a little bit cheaper than your traditional fuels, taking also into cognizance the use and the friendliness. So LNG production has become more efficient and cost effective over time, driven by advancement in liquefaction technologies and economics. When I was speaking earlier this morning, I talked about patents of some of these knowledge-based technologies. And what they do for us is, for the people that are in the industry, they call it code box. Nobody opens it. They will bring it, they will say, connect this pipeline, connect that pipeline, and you don't know what is happening inside mostly. So it's something that we can develop. If we really want to see a pragmatic change in the way we live, the way we do our things, definitely we need to see how did they get some things inside the box and we can produce ours. Then the lower emission profile, I've mentioned that before. Then it's something that is always benchmark, and you normally have a long-term price contract. It's not like you wake up today and you change the pricing. No. So it's better if you have that, you can work your economics of other dependent businesses on the pricing. Then the end-use applications, I talked about the power generation, heating, ventilation, transportation, industrial purposes, then the versatility of the across sectors. So it's used in wide range of applications. So this is something that a lot of people, the market players are not enough. That's the whole idea. We are not competing even with ourselves. We are competing with the Qatars of this world and the other big players. So Nigeria needs to be on the map. If you add our combined capacity, including NLNG Train 7, we should be, with UTMF LNG, maybe it should be about 35 to 37 metric tons of product per annum. That is far less than what Qatar is producing, even with their Train 8. And they want to do more. So the market is there. So it's just something that we all need to put our heads together and see how well and how more effective we can do it. As I mentioned earlier, it's a little bit of novel, it's no longer new, but there's improvement on it every day. And that is even where we, especially the young people here, can leverage on. It's something that you can say, okay, this is how it's done traditionally. We can add more value to it. And people are doing this every day, and the technology's improvement is happening even as you are, and it's increased your yield and also your project cycle and so on. Somebody here did today also, okay, Prof, mentioned the modularization in Tanzania and other places. It's something that we can think about. We have gas pipeline here and there in the country that are quite active. So with modular, we can improve on our volume. So this is the key benefit. We talked about cost effectiveness, efficiency, environmental benefit, and so on. We mentioned that earlier. Let's come back to my project. This is what we are doing currently at UTMF LNG. It's a nameplate capacity of about 2.8 MTPA, and it's a floating vessel. For people that in the oil and gas space, it's similar to what you have in FPSO or FSO, but this one is a processing plant for gas, while the other one is processing plant for oil and thereabout. So when completed, we'll be adding 2.8 metric ton MPA combined for both LNG, LPG condensate to the Nigerian market of LNG. And the plant is situated about 60 kilometers off the coast of Nigerian waters. Chiefly among them is the approval of the divestment of ExxonMobil to Seplat. So this is the schematic of the project. We have a floating vessel which has a top side, which is the processing, and the hull, which have the storage and other equipment. And you have a pipeline, one bringing gas, another one taking condensate back to Yoho. And this is the general schematic of the project. We have two major contractors working with us on this project. The top side is the Japan Gas Corporation, JGC, and the hull is the Technip of France. In conclusion, I'm trying to keep to the 15 minutes. LNG holds tremendous environmental benefits. As mentioned earlier, it's something that we can do so that we all can even live long. The air pollution is too much currently. LNG present energy security and flexibility compared to fossil fuel. LNG and FLNG are cost effective. The one of the other reasons, as I mentioned this morning also, is we have a lot of stranded gases offshore. The owners of with this technology will be able to monetize those stranded gases instead of flaring them and convert them into usable form and also make money out of it. Then improve in liquefaction processes, which is an yearly. We just want to encourage the players, especially people that have the feet of, in Nigeria they call them OPL and OML. A lot of people, they prefer to flare and if you have gas field and you feel you can partner with people as collaboration as Africans and Nigerians, it's encouraged that we do so. If you have a question, you can send to the moderator.
Brief and yet educative technical presentation. Please, if you have any questions, slides, kindly understand that all of the slides you've had from slides, you can download the slides for yourself. Once again, please, can we give Engineer George Amara another round of applause, please? So we're switching gears immediately to a technical session on innovative solutions for gas flare reduction and gas utilization. The next speaker would explore cutting-edge. To do justice is a representative from one of our regulatory organizations, the NUPRC. Please, if your hands are not busy, help me welcome Mr. Wale Ogunshola as he comes to speak on innovative solutions for gas flare reduction and gas utilization. The man that is dressing the African way. Please keep celebrating him till he comes to speak. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for the warm reception. Yes. Very good. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to relate to gas, which is indeed a commodity of now and of the future. I've been enthralled by the quality of presentations and speakers and participation during the course of these 2 days. And I want to congratulate the SP Nigerian Council for putting this together. Excellent, excellent as always. And it's our commitment to support you now and going forward on gas utilization. Of course, I would endeavor not to repeat a lot of what has been said. It is clear that gas is the pathway for us as a nation, blessed with these resources. We need to leverage it now. Now is the time to leverage it. In fact, yesterday was the best time. But like they say, the presentation will generally, I just speak to what we have. Because I am of the NUPRC, sometimes when we hear numbers being stated, there are conflicting numbers. So we should not leave here without a clear view as to the numbers. Numbers in terms of reserves, production, and utilization. And that's exactly what I would also be starting the discussion with. It's clear that we are a resource-rich country, okay? A one-time Minister of Petroleum Resources, after presenting our resource matter, but more importantly, what you do with what you have. And I think it's a central theme that has resonated all throughout the discussions today. So we are oil and gas rich, it's clear. So a number I would want you to take particular note will be 37.5 billion barrels. That's the proved oil and condensate resource in Nigeria as at 1st January 2024. That's what should be quoted. That is the correct figure, the 26 trillion cubic feet. Of course, this places us at an enviable position in Africa and indeed the world. But again, it's not just about the resources. It's about, and people have mentioned it, and Prof spoke about it eloquently, that our gas resource can take us 100 years. Maybe you saw my slide before now because it's exactly 100 years before the transition wave. It's clear, it's coming. We can't leverage resources. It's very important. But we're also not resting on our horse. We are growing this reserve base to meet domestic requirements. I'm very happy to have Dr. Okon seated here. The national gas policy, which is still subsisting, indicates the catalytic effect that gas should have to drive in of us, policymakers, regulators, operators in the industry, entrepreneurs, to drive this. And of course, that's the aim of this summit, to leverage technology. So currently our gas production is about 7 BCF. And again, distributed across the export market, the domestic market. Numbers, about 7.5% currently being flared, and 7 BCF total production. Talk about it going forward. Because gas is almost everything. I hear that that is the source for our prosperity, if we can leverage it. But it is not when it is in the subsurface. It is when it is the entrepreneurs and developers here who are doing just so with gas, in reticulating gas within the industrial community. It shows that it can be done. The challenges are there, but we can leverage. Just to give, that was a background on actual numbers, facts, and figures from the NUPRC. So that's what we should be quoting. And this summit should publish it, and we've heard it eloquently here again and again. The world is undergoing transition. The global environment is changing. Oil and gas is under threat. Under threat by environmentalists. Sometimes it could just be blackmail. Okay? It could just be about activism, even though on the pedestal of climate, without knowing the full ramification. And I think the discussions that have taken place in the last 2 days shows how much energy is required to unlock value and drive development, for utilize our resources to drive positive change for our people. Doing so responsibly and sustainably. So there's the concept called climate hypocrisy, and I heard turn to the dirtier fuel. Okay? So it's important we recognize the geopolitical considerations and be willing to take actions. But we can only take actions if we control the factors of production. So elementary economics have it that, and I think data and AI is coming to be a fifth factor of production. If we keep driving our energy agenda. So it's important, and that's why this comes adapt technology, such that when they say they are not giving us technology, we'll be able to do this ourselves in a sustainable manner. If they say they're not giving us capital, indeed, we are responding to the energy transition narrative. But it is real. It is here. It is taking positive action that will help us drive value. Impacting our local communities. We cannot be disrupting the global climate. All of us, this slide indicated that as a nation, we have a tale of missed deadlines. We basked in the euphoria of oil and gas when we discovered in the 50s. We never created the fiscal. But of course, that's in the past. Measures have been taken so that all these factors that militated against the achievement of these deadlines are now being vacated, and we can move forward. But it's important you look forwards. So let's glance at history so that we can learn to move forward effectively. And I think that's what government has done via the PIA. Leveraging on the challenges and the lessons learned from our non-performance. Why we would not pat ourselves in the back, having achieved substantially, but there have been steady progress over time via regulatory interventions, carrot and stick approach, development of the NLNG, flaring to what we have today, 7%. So that's some progress. But for a nation of our caliber in Africa, we should not, at this point, be setting this example for Africa. We've got African brothers who are listening to us, Senegal, Egypt, Ghana. We should be teaching them the way not to do things, so that we can the industry, so that we can leverage gas innovatively for that way. However, it remains a document if we do not implement in a focused manner. And that is why innovation is important going forward. So I would just jump that and be very clear about specific provisions in the PIA that speaks directly to flaring, venting, emissions reduction, and why we need to apply technology to drive this change. Clear fiscal and regulatory framework. So we've got a penalty provisions right there. We've got measurements and accounting. We've got the provisions for detailed plans required from the operators, different from what we used to have. Leveraging that act, we've got a new regulation, the gas forward decline in gas flaring. This law is working. The subsidiary regulations are working. The regulators are in its flare commercialization, which we are going to speak to in the next subsequent slides. So, the plot I showed earlier showed that we'd moved from 70%, in fact, 100% in the 50s, gas flaring to 7% today. So the operators have done their best, as it were. The small 2 million, 1 million, 3, 4, and that's why we missed those deadlines over the past of the last 20 years. So there was a rethinking of an approach, of a model to help us achieve success as a nation. And that's why the NGFC, okay? These flare sites would be awarded to credible third-party investors who would deploy the videos of the Nedo gas plants, and I like the acknowledgement that they were on the NGFCP. But when the regulator assessed promises in the past, and they were, and we're happy to associate with them, they've really delivered value and are currently supplying gas to the OB3 line. So this can work. Small scale, we have a 10-point multifarious benefit of the NGFCP and flare commercialization, from value to economy to environment to participation in the industry to credit. Multifarious benefits of the Nigerian gas flare commercialization program. It's backed by law, by regulations, by clearly defined approach, and we are succeeding. So the NGFCP currently covers some 49 flare sites. My colleague is sitting there. He sits as the assistant director in charge of gas utilization. Okay, this is because flaring is an integral part of oil and gas operations. Okay, so you must have a flare stack for safety purposes. However, not all of these are continuously flaring or routinely flaring that we want to address. Okay, so we did an evaluation again and tiered the flares and offered to third parties. I had comments earlier in the day to show that some of these investors are having issues. But again, that's the character of a first of its kind program. Okay, but we're leveraging the benefit from others and experiences of those who have. So it makes sense indeed that there will be frontline runners, and then there will be those who will learn from them. And that is why the Commission Chief Executive established a college of awardees so that we can share best practices. If there's one way to collaborate, technologically, financing, and with best practices, it's on the NGFCP as a key climate action program. And indeed, we are very confident that this innovative program, backed by bankable structures and structures of our agreement, will help us achieve progress. We really are learning. There is significant international support from the issuance of the RFP in January 2023 to where we are now, where awardees are negotiating commercial agreements, first with the operators and then with the commission. We had attempted this before without these commercial structures, and it did not work. So having a program that is underpinned by structures that enhance bankability is very to help these awardees towards success. So that's some innovative ways to achieve flares out in Nigeria. We have evaluated proposals, and we see a lot of opportunities from everywhere, from the gas in the small flare sites, 1 million, 2 million. They are amenable to small scale and modular technologies so that they are scalable. So you can add 1 million, another 1 million, another 1 million, in order to take care of the variability of flare gas. Okay? They are easy to deploy. Most of them are available offshore without the long lead times to fabrication and construction. So generally, we see LNG applications, gas conversion applications, methanol, ammonia, gas to liquid, virtual pipeline solutions, LPG, and CNG functions. After they execute the connection agreement, we are unholding these awardees Someone have said, oh, this is not typical of government. Why are you interested in the technology they are offering? Why are you interested in helping them secure finance? Because this is a special, on purely commercial basis, okay? But if viewed from the lens of climate action, we may be able to access concessionary funding and also help these ones drive positive change. That is the drive of government, and that is why it's so those who are in this space have a whole world of opportunity to participate in the NGFCP and deliver value for the industry and for Nigeria and for Africa, so that there's a beautiful success model for others to replicate. We are partnering all across the world. The South Korean development entities are supporting. We've got an international consulting firm who are also giving advisory support. Program succeed. So we're at the point in Q2, we expect to see the commencement of project execution by some of the awardees, and we see how within 6 months, 12 months, and 18 months, a number of the projects come, capture flare gas, and begin to deliver value, reducing the 7% to a reasonable, manageable number. We foresee that this program will take care of about 250 million scoff of gas, which represents just half in terms of volume of what we currently flare. And the other projects being executed by producers, we take care of the rest. So we're on the pathway to achieving flares out, routine flares out by 2030, and even before, if we make this program succeed via the innovative approach, via the innovative solutions that we have brought up to the table with the cooperation of all. Let me end with this, just to show that the NGFCP is indeed a program of many benefits. Economically, significant job creation, significant investment into it will enhance their social license to operate. It will reduce the health implications. I heard someone spoke about the fumes associated with this. This is just unacceptable. Okay, what of LPG? What about the millions of tons of CO2 that will be eliminated? All of this act as employed with the collaboration of all parties will help us achieve success. A success model that can be replicated across Africa and other gas flaring. The topic, which was to discuss innovative gas solutions, has been addressed. First, it has to be innovative. It has to give solutions. It has to enhance gas utilization. And through what we have done, learning from history, structuring the NGFCP, backed by law, put us at the right position in Africa and indeed the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for your standing commitments to providing innovative solutions for gas sustainable energy future. Please, once again, can we celebrate the Deputy Director, Energy Transition and Carbon Monetization, the Coordinating Director of NGFCP. Celebrate him. Thank you, thank you. Switching gears immediately to the very last part of today's event, which is the Policy Forum on Current Gas Policies, Challenges and Prospects in Africa. Of course, you're going to listen to several speakers who will delve into the evolving landscape of gas regulations, the hurdles the continent face, and of course, the immense potential that lies ahead. We're going to start this policy forum by listening to a keynote speaker, of course, the speaker of the NUPRC. I'm made to understand is aptly represented by the Commissioner, Development and Production, Engineer E. Amadasu. Engineer Amadasu, please confirm you can hear us online and you can see us. We'd like to see your video and, of course, hear from you. Please confirm you can hear us for your keynote address. Speak.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Of course, we cannot see you yet. Please, can you tilt your camera probably? Okay, yes. Engineer Madasu is the Executive Commissioner, Development and Production at NUP in Africa. Please, let's pay keen attention. I'll be back in 15 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to be here today on behalf of the Commission Chief Executive, Engineer Benga Kumolafe.
I beg your pardon, sir. Please, we'd like to see
Can you
your
hear
face.
me?
We hear you, but we can't see your face. Probably if you could see it in your office. We want the camera on your face, sir.
Yes, I tried to do that. Can you hear me? Can you see me now?
Yes. Tilt a little bit. Yes. Amazing. Amazing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Once again, I want to welcome every one of us to this conference. I want to thank the organizer, Society of Petroleum Engineers, Nigeria Council. I want to thank especially my brother, the chairman, that spoke with so much passion. I also want to thank my colleagues there, Director of Energy Transition, and also Director Engineer Jenny Sayam. So this afternoon, I will be doing the keynote presentation on behalf of, I believe that what we are actually doing, I want to request that every one of us come together and let's drive this sustainable Engineer Benga Kumolafe, Commission Chief Executive remarks. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the Society of Petroleum Engineers, Nigeria Council, esteemed colleagues, I would like to start by extending a warm congratulations to the Society of Petroleum Engineers, Nigeria Council for convening this inaugural summit on Africa gas innovation, a platform for collaboration and nurturing of ideas, geared, accelerated valorization and monetization of the abundant gas resources across Africa. I also wish to appreciate all the distinguished guests. I saw every one of us there, industry leaders, experts, visionaries gathered here today to deliberate on the theme of this inaugural summit. Ignite the future, driving sustainability in Africa's energy landscape through gas technology and innovation. Your presence underscores the significance of this summit and reflects our collective commitments to shape the global energy landscape for the betterment of our nation, the Africa region, and the world at large. This summit, organized by the Society of Petroleum Engineers, Nigeria Council, provides a veritable platform for addressing the pivotal role of gas in our energy future. The theme of this keynote, current gas policies, challenges and prospects, is of paramount importance as we navigate the complexities and opportunities within the PIA 2021, recognizes the PIA as a landmark legislation that is reshaping the Nigeria petroleum industry landscape. It provides a comprehensive framework aimed at enhancing transparency, efficiency, and investment attractiveness in the sector. The PIA is a strategic shift from the legislative framework before it recognizes the role of natural gas as a commodity in its own right, deserving focused attention to unlock on the policies initiative of His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, the PIA, how the Commission is implementing this, the challenges we face, and the prospects that lie ahead. But first, let me situate Nigeria gas industry in context and what the Commission is doing to drive up gas development and production. As a country, Nigeria is richly endowed with over 209 trillion cubic feet of sweet and liquid-rich natural gas reserves, ranking first in Africa, ninth globally, with an upside potential of over 600 TCF. The average daily gas production approximately is about 7 billion standard cubic feet per day, and all this despite the lack of focused and international gas exploration in the past years. The Commission, through continuous regulatory and technical oversight, has ensured that operators engage in subsurface studies with development, drilling, data to prove and reverse oil and gas reserve volumes. Furthermore, it has been estimated that by both exports and domestic requirements, including the coming on stream of key projects such as the LNG Train 7, the brass for fertilizer and methanol projects, and many similar projects that will be realized upon realized, gentlemen, your excellencies, in line with its mandates in the year 2023 alone. The Commission approved a total of 24 field development plans to develop oil and gas and associated gas, while 7 FDPs were approved to develop non-associated gas fields. Upon full execution, 5 TCF of associated gas reserves with additional associated gas production of about 1.869 million standard cubic feet per day. On the other hand, the approved gas development plan have the potential to develop 2.98 TCF reserves per day. This is just to illustrate the huge gas resources and the drive of the Commission to bring them to production for both the domestic and export markets. Our industry and those codified in the Petroleum Industry Act, PIA 2021. In 2017, the National Gas Policy was issued with the main objectives of transforming Nigeria economy. Gas was meant not to be a rent-seeking commodity, but a catalyst for a gas-based industrialization of Nigeria's economy. The policy also intended to extend gas penetration in the domestic market in order to facilitate the growth of electric power, agricultural, industrial, and transport sectors, while helping Nigeria gas gain greater in PIA with the aim of maximizing the potential of Nigeria's gas resources. I will now highlight indirectly impacting on the development of the gas sector. Ladies and gentlemen, the first one I have here is enhanced legal and regulatory environment. It established the Nigeria Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission and the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority to oversee and regulate the separation of the industry value chain is intended to usher in a focused development of the midstream oil and gas sector with a multiplier effect for increased value addition to the economy. This policy trusts who may take advantage of the new industry realities and incentives to deepen the midstream and downstream gas value chain with more efficient players with the requisite they operate. And I like what the speech that the chairman gave it with so much passion, and we can see the drive, even though it's not number 2. There is also the gas development and domestic gas delivery obligation, the key focus on ensuring that the 3 strategic sectors, the power, the commercial, and industry, have access to gas supply for optimal operations. There is no gas only exported as a rent-seeking commodity, but efficiently utilized domestically as a catalyst to industrialize Nigeria. A total of 3.245 BCF per day was allocated to the producer using the DGD stood at 58.2%. So there still need to put up policy in place, put up regulation in place to further deepen the domestic utilization of our gas. Through consistent data is driving improved performance in DGDO framework, in line with the relevant section of the PIA, particularly section 110, subsection 14, and must first be subjected to DGDO compliance test before any approval is issued. Number 3, physical highlighted some of others. To attract investment, the PIA offer physical incentives such as reduced royalty. Gas development and production are exempted from these taxes, while even offer additional tax holiday incentives for pipelines and domestic gas infrastructure, among other physical benefits. I see one of the experts are designed to make the gas sector more competitive and appealing for both local and international investors. Investment in infrastructure to channel stranded natural gas resources from operators to the domestic market, including to take it all the way to Lagos, get the Lagos, transport it back to Port Harcourt. I think this is something that every one of us need to do. I'm sure every players, they know this and they are working on this. And the Commission is also strategically collaborating with all stakeholders to ensure that this is overcome. It encourages public-private partnership to bridge infrastructure gaps and ensure efficient distribution and utilization of gas. As a way of incentivizing this development, the Act established special fund, the midstream and downstream infrastructure development fund, designed as a de-risking fund, invested through equity stake in critical national infrastructure. 5, the decade of gas. The Commission has continued to engage companies whose gas projects are identified as critical to the decade of gas initiative, expected to bridge the gas supply by 2030. About 20 priority gas projects have been identified to meet base case demand. The Commission is looking at critical unlocks covering commercial, technical, infrastructure, regulatory, and security levers, which have been escalated to responsible arms of government for intervention. Within the purview of the Commission, early lease renewal has been identified as critical to the delivery of gas projects, and this has been given expedited attention. One of the key outcomes of the engagement with the industry under this policy framework is the Presidential Directive 40, the Physical Incentive Directive for the non-associated gas onshore and shallow offshore, will provide tax credits and allowance for as a function of hydrocarbon liquid content of the NAG field. 6, drill and drop principles and the uncommitted gas reserves monetization policy. Consistent with our mandate, the Commission is working to reduce barriers to principles and business enablement philosophy enshrined in the PIA. By the provision of Section 4, Subsection 3 and 6 of the Petroleum Industry Act, the Commission is charged with the responsibility of the technical and commercial regulation of upstream petroleum operation, including optimal developments and achieve optimal government revenues. The Commission is its resolve to drive the accelerated value delivery from the upstream oil and gas asset for economic growth and prosperity gas resources in the country. The analysis revealed that 57 TCF of gas reserves have remained unmonetized decades after discovery. The Commission, in view of these findings, as he said, reduce this from 77%, and we are still on it. We believe we still go down as we continue to drive all these initiatives. The third-party based flare monetization is through a transparent and competitive bidding process. Further to the award of this site, the Commission is handholding awardees to facilitate access to put in place strategic initiatives which will unlock gas resources for value creation. Some of these include the activation of drill or draw provision of the PI, which I said before, the intervention, the round of the 7 open block and additional 12 blocks as a means of boosting our reserves and daily production volumes. And like you said, like you had from the Commission Chief Executive, more blocks. The Commission is monitoring the commitment of all leases to the implementation of their natural gas flare elimination and monetization plan to ensure compliance with Section 108 of the PIA. This we are doing through effective implementation of gas well deliverability tests for all gas producers to establish operating limits. This enables the Commission to determine production potential and guide the industry towards its maximum optimal capacity. Enforcement of approved associated gas development solution in all oil developments. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, strong foundation for the oil and gas sector in the country. Several challenges must be addressed to fully realize its potential. Some of them has also been discussed by the previous speaker before now. One is the infrastructural deficits that are highlighted before. The third one is complete extinguishment of the legacy debt. As you know, Mr. President, with a compelling justification for the debt repayment, has made significant strides in reducing debt. Security concern, ensuring the security of gas infrastructure is critical. Vandalism, theft, and other security issues pose significant risk to gas operation and investments. Collaborative efforts, these assets. Market dynamics and pricing, establishing a transparent and market-driven price mechanism for gas is crucial. Balancing affordability for domestic consumer and competitiveness for producer is a delicate task that requires careful policy calibration. This is to say that in as much as gas producer might determine price or cap on gas policies to protect consumer and ensure affordability, ultimately the goal should be to transit to a free market regime of willing buyer and willing seller, where a cost-reflective mechanism is a norm rather than the exception. The sector plays a significant role. However, it's still begrudged by many constraints ranging from resolving the power sector challenges is critical to transitioning to a gas-powered economy. Absent of fully implemented network code for optimal utilization of infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished industry colleagues, despite these challenges, as we make all our efforts to penetrate the domestic market, let me consider a few key prospects. One is economic diversification and industrialization. Gas, which is the energy fuel of choice for national economic growth, can serve as a catalyst for industrialization, creating jobs and boosting other sectors, such as manufacturing, full implementation of the policy issued by the government. Energy transition and sustainability. As the world moves towards cleaner energy sources, natural gas presents an opportunity. Power generation and other applications can significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions and contribute to a global climate goal. Regional and global market opportunities. Nigeria's strategic location and vast gas, Nigeria LNG operations and other export-oriented projects, Nigeria can enhance its role in global energy supply chain. Technology innovation, which is also partition, we enhance efficiency and sustainability. Investing in research and development will yield innovative solutions tailored to Nigeria's unique challenges and opportunities. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the PIA has set the stage for its sustainability and economic development are immense. It is our collective responsibility to harness these opportunities through collaborative efforts, innovative solutions, and unwavering commitments to the principles enshrined in the PIA. And the Commission is putting all it can to drive this effort. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you once again for the opportunity to deliver this paper. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the very intelligent presentation. Of course, we're listening to Engineer E. Amadasu, who is executive. Are you tired? Okay, we just have a panel session and it's going to last for only 45 minutes. Can you give me 45 minutes? 45 minutes only, and we are wrapping. Would you give me 45 minutes? Let me say here, say I. If you give me 45 minutes, okay, 40 minutes only. Let me say I. Mama is online. He's heard that you want just 40 minutes for the next session. Okay, as I call the panelists, I kindly appeal that we give them an applause as they take their seat. The very first on this discussion would be the Group CEO of Tenor Energy Resources. Please help me welcome Dr. Timothy Okon as he joins us on the seat. Please celebrate him, the first panel discussant for the policy for it, sir. Yeah, thank you. Of course, joining him would be the partner AO2 Law, Oyeyemi Oke. Please celebrate him as he comes. He's just going to sit down by Dr. Okon, just by his right. Thank you and welcome. We also have a good number of virtual participants who will do justice to this policy forum. Please help me celebrate, and I would like to hear his voice. The Professor Emeritus LSU for Energy Studies, and of course the Executive Director of the Emmanuel Igboga Foundation, the former Director of SP Africa Region. Please help me celebrate Professor Wumi Ledare, who is from Nigeria, and we hear you well, Prof. Of course, still joining virtually, we have the ILF Consulting Engineers, Engineer Abuodun Oshodi. Would like to confirm you can hear us, Engineer Oshodi?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. And good afternoon to everyone there in Abuja. Good afternoon.
A very good afternoon to you. Ladies and gentlemen, to take charge of this policy forum, we'll have the moderator, who is the Managing Director of Miracop Nigeria Limited, Dr. Chijoke Mama. Dr. Chijoke, can you hear me? We want to hear your voice, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so sir, for the next 40 minutes, please take charge of the policy forum. Thank you.
Thank you very much for now. Good afternoon, everyone. Am I very audible within the hall, please? Can you confirm?
We hear you, sir.
Ofalama, can you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear.
Okay, once again, let me stand on existing protocol. It's my honor. Okay. It's my honor to moderate this session this afternoon. I understand it's the very last one, and apparently all participants are already tired. So without lowering the quality of the discussion,
Excuse me, sir, please. We kindly advise probably you turn off
try
the video
as
camera.
much as
Hello,
possible
Dr.
to
Chijoke
make
Mama.
it concise and
Oh my God.
straight to the point.
Dr. Chijoke, please.
So, given that you've already invited all our panelists this afternoon, I would like to start by giving background to the discussion and then give the opportunity to the panelists to introduce themselves. Okay.
Dr. Chijoke,
Okay.
your internet connection is a little bit rough. We kindly advise probably you turn off your video so that we just listen to your voice.
I've turned it off. Can you hear me?
Okay, we hear you better.
Follower, can you hear me?
We hear you. We hear you. Continue, sir. Please go ahead. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we kindly thank you for your patience. To take over the moderating role is no other person than our council chairman of the SP Nigeria Council, Engineer Salahuddin Tahi, who just took over this role impromptu. Please, can you celebrate him? And thank you so much for stepping in at a very short notice. Thank you, Council Chair.
Hello, Okonoma, can you hear me?
We can hear you, sir, but we have somebody that he's going to take over the moderating in person because of network, sir.
Okay, that's fine.
I think if Dr. Chijoke is on, he can continue. I would take it, and then he can participate also. So I will be here as a backup, and
Okay.
we'll drive it
I
together.
think the signal is better now, so I can continue.
Okay, please go ahead. Go ahead, and I'll be a backup in the event that you have any hitches. Go ahead, please.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
So once again, I just want to say thank you to all participants, especially the panelists. Sorry for the technical hitch earlier on. Justice to the topic that we are about to discuss. He has provided a very brilliant x-ray of the policy framework around the Nigerian gas sector, especially from a historical perspective, highlighting the most recent developments as they affect the sector. So on that note, I will want to welcome all panelists and give us a chance, as I said before, to introduce ourselves and give opening remarks before we dive into the questions. So in no particular order, may I invite Professor Wumi Iledare for introduction and opening remarks.
Thank you very much. Apologize. I want to thank the organizer of this event and for inviting me. My name is Wumi Ledari. I'm a professor emeritus in petroleum economics, and I am the commissioner, the chief commissioner for elaborating quite eloquently. Also, let me recognize Dr. Okon, who is a principal actor in the development of the Nigerian gas policy in 2016. Just emphasize briefly so I can give others the opportunity to speak. It is not conjectural that Nigeria has a lot of debatable that we have proved reserve to the tune of 210 or 209 trillion cubic feet. So that we are delimited in using our gas resources can be attributed to three important legs. Are interested in adding value to their investment. And three is governance, which is public policy. If there's anything I can contribute with respect to, I'm going to get to the expediency. Listen, let me give a phrase so that I can understand where I'm coming from. I'd rather be saved by criticism than be ruined by praise. I think there's so much to be ruined by criticism, by praise. It is better for you to be criticized, as we both say, passion with respect to where we find ourselves. I listened to him saying that he spent naira on the street in 1980 in London. I spent it in Amsterdam in the 80s. Suggestions that is for betterment. So where we need to pay emphasis if we want gas to add value in Nigeria is to move away from political expediency in our policy making and policy implementation. And so leadership is key to being able to add value with natural gas. That means we must be transformational in our policy implementation. To me, there are inefficiency, ineffectiveness, inequity, and unethical behavior with respect for replacement of oil money. We must target gas for domestic expansion of our economy. And that's what PIA did. PIA created royalty relief to a large extent. PIA removed taxes from gas development. PIA created governance institutions to be able to make projection for gas. And I hope I have opportunity to make other remarks. But for me, energy transition is a moving train. Natural gas is beyond being transported for domestic development in Nigeria. And I'm so happy that we're now focusing on that. Let me give others the opportunity to make comments. But it's about technology, economics, and governance. And that governance must be led with transformational mindset, not transactional. What I see now is policy inconsistency, a deviation from the gas policy in 2017, which is about industrial development, gas to power market. So we must focus. Policy must be consistent. Policy must be for a purpose. And political expediency must be taken out of it. If gas is to add the type of value we desire. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Prof, for that insightful speech. May I please ask Dr. Timothy Okon to give his opening remarks?
Okay. Well, thank you very much. It appears I don't need to introduce. like to say two things. When I saw I was invited to this, I went to look at the 2017 policy that my good friend, Professor Iledare, talked about. And I'm happy to say that consistent with that policy framework, the PIA covered every bit of what that policy framework talked about. It talked about what the chief executive of the commission also. Okay, I need to. The incentives that it was intended, the fact that there was supposed to be export parity pricing, which is the foundation of what you see in the third and fourth schedule. It talked about gas for industrialization, which is reflected in the fourth schedule of the PIA. But all of those good intentions will not mean anything if we just talk about it and put the document beside our study tables and just reflect on it. It takes strategic action, but the strategic actions that are needed to support it, which is what Professor Leda was alluding to, falls short. So I would say clearly that we take the gas flare project, which is now being driven hard and driven by a level of commitment that big goals and accompany them with strategic action. So my second point today will be that energy and GDP. And thank God for the young people who invented Google. I Googled and I discovered there was an excellent article on 10 countries. And these 10 countries are all, quote and unquote, East Asia. So when you talk about economic share, and of course, I lived in Indonesia and Singapore in the early and late 90s. So I could see the economic transformation that had taken place. And so my second comment here would be, yes, we have heard the slogan, gas is the future. And truly it is, because you can drive electricity, for example. And the article I was reading was the relationship between electricity consumption and GDP. It's all kinds of economic tests and things like that, causality and so on. So we're not going to talk about that, but I want to assure you that if we are interested in that economic development, you have to link gas with different forms of manufacturing, and link gas with conversion of that gas to many different products. That is why we have the different strategic sectors in gas, etc. But they have to be accompanied by strategic actions, so strategic goals. And my final comment would simply be that you have heard about the $1 trillion economy. So here is a test, okay? Tell me what the building blocks of that $1 trillion economy will be. That is, it's a strategic goal, and what will be the strategic actions that we need to take to arrive at a $1 trillion economy. And I ask this question because we once had needs, those programs that in 2020, and we were going to be the 20th largest economy and all that. Those things don't work if they remain a slogan. So if you want to be a 1 trillion, and I can give you some statistics if you talk to me after this, I don't want to bore people, but if you want to be a $1 trillion economy, what will gas give to you? What are the building blocks of that 1 trillion, and when will it happen? If we begin to look at things that way, then this enormous session, and I must congratulate the organizers for putting this up. This session will begin to mean something, that we are not coming to amuse ourselves and I had my name mentioned twice or something. This is not a cult of self-adulation will not get us there. What will get us there is strategic actions, the building blocks of which will now, tomorrow, yield the results ultimately that we are seeking.
Just to confirm, I'm still audible within the hall.
Oh, yes, you are.
Hello?
Yes, you are.
Oh,
Clearly.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So I would like to invite, I would like to invite Engineer Abiodun Oshodi to give his opening remarks, please.
Good afternoon once again, everyone, and my sincere appreciation to the Society of Petroleum Engineers for giving me this platform this evening. Just a quick introduction. I mean, for most of us that do not know ILF, ILF has been in Nigeria for over 40 years and has been involved in developing several infrastructure, especially in gas and energy for the Nigerian market. And I think the main topic of today is the policy forum around the current gas policy. And I believe that the defining ethos for the Nigerian gas policy is necessary, as it should ensure the much needed industrialization that we all seek for Nigeria. Of course, this will lead to massive job creation, economic growth, and as well support the so-called energy transition towards a more energy. As an engineer, my focus in the contribution to this discourse will be more on the technology space and the impacts it plays on the policy and the potential of the Nigerian gas policy, as Dr. Okun says, could elude Nigeria if our focus is not to harness the entire supply chain of gas to energy, gas to material, and gas to industrialization. We have several challenges in Nigeria, and we would struggle to create the much needed midstream sector that we need for industrialization if a lot of the challenges are surrounding the upstream sector, if they are not fixed. What are the physical terms for upstream source encouraging proper gas development associated or not? The infrastructure challenges still persist, regardless of all the significant investment by both federal and private investors. And of course, as a lot of the speakers have alluded to today, our current and historical micro and macroeconomic challenges. And I believe that our major challenge in Nigeria is not a lack of policy. I mean, I think Nigeria is one country that has been over-politicized, but we lack a strong discipline to see through the proper implementation of such policies, which should endear economic growth for this country. And I do hope that as we progress through this conversation that we would be able to talk more about these challenges and the way forward in correcting them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Abiodun. May I please invite Mr. Oyeyemi Oke for his opening remarks.
But in my experience as a lawyer that works for investors, what I have seen is a lot of angst from investors with regards to certainty of policies. And I'm using policy. We find out approach to some policies, and that sometimes spooks investors. And I would give a good example in terms of what has happened to me perhaps in the last 3 months. I had a client that says, a foreign client that says, we want to do some CNG projects in Nigeria. And during the conversation, I said, do you know that for the equipment you want to import, there is no import? Is how long do you think this policy would be in place? And I mean, quite frankly, I couldn't answer that question because what I had to do was to say that the policy is there to put this or factor this into their relevant financial model or business model to be able to support the business case for whatever investment they are doing. So one of the things we see is sometimes you also see, or apart from the issue of certainty, torpedo investment. Now, from the part of, but one thing I should mention is also in the last 4 or 5 years, and we have seen perhaps in the last 30 to 40, obviously government is taking this seriously. But in addition to that, one of the things I've also seen, especially with regards to gas development, is because incentives in terms of fiscal incentives. Now, there's been a lot of skewed attention, and understandably so, to development on the upstream side with little attention to the downstream side, which perhaps also is something that needs to be looked at, because for gas development projects under CETA, under even the recent executive order. But then again, if you notice, some of these policies or laws or policy certainty, non-reversal of policy are things that would definitely give us the required investments into the space. Yes, government can, I mean, there's little government or places. Thank you.
During your opening remarks, you referenced your observation of the performance of other nations, who we might consider as peer countries. Experts have consistently, referenced is that when you juxtapose Nigeria's gas sector development with that of countries like Qatar, who are best, Australia, in terms of resource endowment, Iran, Russia, that we do not perform comparatively well, in spite of the obvious policy adequacy, if you don't mind. What do you think, might be an instrument for enhancing or improving our performance in that regard?
Thank you very much. Yes, and I think that the PIA does recognize that. So if you go to the third schedule, it talked about pricing in the context of similar producers from major producing countries. Yes, petroleum economist myself, but if you look at the context with which pricing has always been, when the first initial 50 cents gas price were issued, same price that Saudi Arabia basically, Saudi Arabia offered investors for gas. And of course, Saudi Arabia also had something in addition, which it is established a Saudi Basic Industries Corporation. One of the mistakes we did was that focal point, and it's really a focal point that needs to be in the midstream. It's making about a skewed policy that recognizes mainly the upstream. And I can tell you that Nigeria is a rentier state exactly because of that skewed policy that recognizes the upstream. Most incentives go to the upstream. But the upstream does not build you a plant. Go to the Niger Delta today. There are no fertilizer plants. The efforts at building those industries were actually done by the government, not by private investors. So what is notorious today, fertilizer, etc., used to be none of these incentives we have granted to the upstream have yielded any investment directly by that upstream to Nigeria. Essentially, we became a rentier state because of our skewed policies where we just rent collectors way. And if you go to section 302, that was in the presentation by the Commission Chief Executive, the pipelines, infrastructure, etc. What we had abandoned some 40, 50 years ago. we did not do much of that. And of course, you can see that the Saudi Basic Industries was taken over by Aramco for billions and billions of dollars. In other words, there is a theory in economic development. It's called the dependence the Nigerian economy is. So when you hear of diversification, etc., that is why midstream was created in the PIA. So we are on the right track, but like I say, strategic goals, they've been set. I said 2017 gas policy document is there. The PIA reflects much of what is in that document. So the strategic goals, all of those have been set. It is investors. The midstream space is now open and available, and I hope the upstream dominate, because they're just extractors. They're extractors of the resources. Then they go to their countries and build the refineries and do all kinds of things. But they are not present in the midstream space here in Nigeria. And that is what needs to happen, because that's what brings employment. That's what's going to bring increase. The industries like the methanol plants, the fertilizer plants, because they have a long value chain associated with them. Methanol is founded by the state and then privatized. So what we need to encourage are midstream investors and downstream investors. They are the ones that will help build the new economy that gas is going to power. So those would be my comments.
Thank you very much, Doctor. My next question will go to Professor Iledare. Prof, as you heard Dr. Okon say, we all know that the midstream aspect of the hydrocarbon value chain holds the greatest value creation potential when you compare it to upstream and downstream. Unfortunately, that's the aspect of our own industry that is limited significantly. So, in spite of that, we have seen some progress, baby steps, some investments, Notori, Indorama, NLNG, Dangote, and a couple of others who are pushing, applying resilience in spite of the challenges. Do we see, in your view, Prof, any lessons, for replicating the little progress so as to expand the midstream sector to the scale that we all desire as a nation?
Again, thank you. And I think we are moving in the right direction. And I think my friend on the panel, the legal guy, forgive me if I didn't mention, for investors' perception index, whereby the investor is looking at the environment and seeing your tax structure, your policy structure, and making sure that it is consistent. And I think Professor from Francon also mentioned that you have to, investor is investing for sustainable corporate social responsibility, unless it is going to enhance their profitability. And if you look at the midstream, the economic value created is not as huge in the short run, but in the long run, it can add more value to the economy, far more than the upstream. We made that mistake with the liquid petroleum, and I'm hoping that we are not going to look at natural gas for money. And that's why the midstream and the downstream component, they call it the win-win situation. And that's why I become a little bit uncomfortable when I see the inconsistency from one administration to the other. The national gas policy, even though it did not exclude auto gas and other peripheria that I'll call them, use of natural gas, and a new minister came to power. It's as if all of those policies were abandoned. And now another administration comes in, and what you are hearing is compressed natural gas without infrastructure in place to make sure that, and that's what we have seen in Nigeria with the oil money. Let me say, however, that this administration is doing their best to focus on gas development for sustainable development. However, it's complex and fragile. So optimality must be across the board. And that's the problem you see with gas to power. When you are recouping sales with Naira, but be consistency. And I don't want to be crucified, but I will still say it. There must always be a Jeremiah in the town of having a full-time minister of petroleum so that the president can, again, know when he has to go to the president or a surrogate. And all of these are important if we are going to integrate the gas value chain, consistency of policy, accountability of policy, transparency itself is able to get something to develop the economy. And finally, all of these things that we are saying, there's something we are living policy. Technology is driven by research. Policy, the profitability of investment is highly dependent on capacity. And all of this must be integrated. And that's why what we call the triple helix plus. You have the business who is driving the investment. You have government policy who is incentivizing investment. And you have the academia with the tool to be able to make sure there's coherency in whatever we do. We need to think all of this in an holistic way. It's called the triple helix plus. The interaction between the government, the business, and the investors within the concept of taking the midstream, which is the linkage between upstream and end user, very seriously. And we're making progress, but we must sustain it.
We are running out of time, so I would plead with the panelists to make the rest of the answers to the questions very brief, so we can stay on time. I would like to ask very briefly, please, Engineer Abiodun, regarding the ongoing presidential initiative for expansion of CNG use in Nigeria. We know that it has a lot of leaning on technology. Nevertheless, it is policy that provides the framework for both technology and capital finance to be appropriately deployed. You know, what do you see as a possible constraint? You have an engineering background to the safe expansion of the CNG use in Nigeria. Very briefly, please.
I think the advantage we have in Nigeria is that the utilization of CNG as a technology is quite commonplace in the developed world. So we are not having to create anything from scratch again. We all have to just do is copy and paste exactly what has been done there. Now the challenge is what local capacity do we have, and what local capacity can we create? Experience that show where all resources and equipment were imported to one where we have now significant capacity to develop, to do certain work easy. It's just a matter of providing the enabling environment. How can you provide the enabling environment? Well, the Nigerian Content Fund, which is something that has been used already to invest in projects in Nigeria, could also be a funding mechanism for businesses or for technology owners who want to localize localize their technology in country. And this can be used to, and I think this is a more appropriate use of the fund in growing capacity in country. And I think that's the way to go if we have to improve capacity locally.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We have really run out of time. I would like to say a big thank you to all our panelists for the very insightful comments provided. I wish we had more time to dive into the details of this very important discussion on gas policy in Nigeria. So on that note, I would say thank you for participating. Thank you to the audience for listening. And may I also invite the SP Council Chair to give closing remarks before we cut off this particular panel.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chirio Kemama. I actually wanted to request for a minute since, I have the opportunity of sitting on the panel chairs. This is a very, insightful and I think a very pertinent SPE Nigerian Council. Every year in July, August, and I'm sure a lot of our participants know this, we have our leading closeout event, the NIAS, which is the Nigerian Annual International Conference and Exhibition. So it happens in Lake, very first time, because we have recognized, and sir, thank you so much for bringing this out. It was very clear, during the course of this panel discussion, that you need a viable midstream and downstream to ensure continuity in the upstream. The very first time SPE Nigerian Council have insightful discussions around ensuring a viable midstream and downstream to ensure sustainability of the upstream. If you don't have a viable midstream, you can make wonderful policies for the upstream, you can push in as much funds in the upstream, your business is not a sustainable business. Dr. Okon clearly said it. What is the building blocks? Where are the building blocks for those policies? It actually goes down that ladder, the value ladder, the midstream and the downstream. And that's what we're going to discuss about in NIAS 2024, coming in first week of August. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. With that, we'll come to the close of the session. May I hand over to Ofonama to continue, please?
Thank you, Dr. Mama. Please, if you agree with me that moderator did an amazing job, even with the network challenges, please celebrate him. A round of applause for him and thank you. And of course, to all of our amazing panelists, please give them a round of applause. So, Council Chair, sir, would like you to continue by giving them their plaques of appreciation. Of course, the very first to receive his plaque would be the rep of the Commission Chief Executive of the NUPRC. Would like to call Janice Anyanwu to come forward for the plaque for Engineer Gbenga Kumalafe, please. Celebrate him as he comes forward for his plaque. Thank you. And just after a new PRC gets the plaque, we'd like to invite for the plaque T. Okon, the next to get his plaque. Please celebrate Dr. Timothy as he moves forward for his plaque. We'd also like to invite the President, ALDG and Chairman, Falcon Cooperation Limited, Professor Joseph Ezibu, as he comes forward for his plaque. Thank you, Prof, for all you do. Up next will be the partner AO2 Law, the one and only Oyeyemi Oke, who will take his plaque after Prof. Thank you, sir. A group photograph, please. Thank you. AO2 Law. We also have a plaque for Mr. Wale Ogunshola. Please, we'd like to welcome him as he comes forward also for his plaque. We celebrate him as he comes forward for his plaque. Amazing, amazing. So we'll have a group photograph. We'd like conference chair to join for the group photograph. Please, group photograph. Private jet. Thank you. Amazing. AGIS has been a success. Of course, this is due. Please celebrate all of our speakers, please. Celebrate them as they head over to their seats. I hope you've all enjoyed AGIS. It has been a turnaround success. Of course, this is possible because of a woman that has given her all to make this instrumental to the success of this event. Your Excellencies, very distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please, if your hands are not busy, can we give Engineer Magdalene Umar a resounding round of applause as she comes forward for a closing remark, or you may call it a vote of thanks. Please keep celebrating this woman. Beauty, excellence, amazing.
That gave me a very warm feeling. Are we ready to ignite the future? Are we? 2 days of remarkable and insightful convergence of great minds, ideas, innovative ideas, and solution in this inaugural Africa Gas. Deep appreciation to everybody present here and those who are joined us, and we do not intend to end it here. At the start of the program yesterday, our council chair had made it clear that this is going to be an annual event, and so and that we are not just going to be here, talk. That is going to be, we're going to be walking the talk. All the ideas, innovations, the solutions that have been profiled, and then we will put together a communique which will be published, and we will follow through with this. So thank you so much to all our special guests, the speakers, the panelists, the moderators. You have, given us very enriching discussions and conversations. And say, I would also like to thank all the delegates. Like the songwriter says, "Know me without you." There will be no Africa Gas Innovation Summit without your presence here. So thank you so much for being a part of this inaugural event, and we look forward to connecting with you beyond this program. I'd also like to thank the collaborators. We had sent out letters to about 15 collaborators, and we had responses from 9 of them. So thank you so much for coming together to co-create this program with the Society of Petroleum Engineers Nigeria Council, and also delivering on this event. We deeply appreciate your time, your talent, and your resources. And to our very generous sponsors, thank you so much. You gave us a leverage, a platform to have this great ambience that you see today. Thank you so much. And we look forward to, future sponsorships of our future events. Started this as a very nimble program. And before our very eyes, this grew to this extent that you're seeing today. I'm so grateful to the planning committee members. Deeply appreciate your time and all that you have put into this, and I know it's not going to go unrewarded. Words fail me, really. Words fail me. Thank you so much. And the MCs, the 2 MCs, Richmond, who is not present, forward practice, and we look forward to the results to be shared at the next gathering. And this will pave way for a brighter and more sustainable future for the African gas industry. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you at our future, and safe trip to those who are returning back outside of Abuja. Thank you.
Is that applause befitting of the Chairman Planning Committee? Please, I want us to please remain seated, because everybody come out, and then we stand here, and then the photographers will have a photo. But before that, I would like everybody to please stand up. Let's recognize somebody that is very special. Let's all recognize someone that has been able to bring different organizations to make, sir, please sit down, sir. Please have a seat, sir. To make this event a success, and this is history. I want all of us to give Engineer Salahuddin Tahi a resounding round of applause. Just keep clapping hands for him, and may God bless him. So I want your thumbs up. When we say SPE, you say cleaner energy with your thumbs up. You're doing it, yeah? Okay. We want them to stand that way, or did you come out? The middle. I mean, our leaders in the middle. Yes, everybody match. Yeah. Please direct them. Okay, that backdrop, right? Okay, please, can we go to that backdrop, please? Please. Where? Thumbs up. SPE. I'm not hearing you. You're not smiling. SP and E. Merge. Let's make history. Ladies and gentlemen. SPE. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to Doxa. Thank you to Digits One. Thank you, media. Thank you. My name is Ogameyene. I see you. Thank you. My name is I see you, sir. I celebrate you, sir. Thank you. Oga Frank, I see you. Basil, I see you. Thirsty, I see you. Well done. Thank you.